And welcome back to Lantern Corps. Today's Lantern Corps comes to us from JRC, who asked the question, what is Chi-Chi's Lantern Corps? Now, previously, last time on the Lantern Corps series, someone brought up that there are new emotional Lantern Corps around. However, unfortunately, I know the Disgust Corps is kind of a thing. I mean, obviously, sorrow is one too, but that's sorrow comes about in that story about things like disgust. There's apparently others, allegedly jealousy and envy, but the problem is jealousy and envy are almost the exact same thing. So I don't think that those can be two separate cores. Also, disgust. I'm not arguing that it doesn't exist. It kind of does exist. I just don't know what the color is, but it does kind of exist. But I'm not exactly sure how you differentiate disgust from other emotions. Like from rage, I get it. Like, sure, but disgust is not a confirmed core yet, from what we can understand. From what I understand, and like, how do you differentiate it from just anger, not rage, anger or hate? Hate and disgust are very tied together. So, and hate is not the same thing as anger. That's different, or I should say rage. Hate is not the same thing as rage. So I don't know how you differentiate them. So until we get a more complete version of those Lantern Corps, I will not be updating the Lantern Corps roster on here. So that being said, Chi-Chi. What Lantern Corps does Chi-Chi come into? And I actually was breaking down, and she actually qualifies her. I mean, out of the grand scheme of things here, it's not a lot. There's 9 cores if you count the original 7 plus the 2 others, black and white. Then 13, when you add ultraviolet, you add happiness, and you add sorrow on there. And then there'd be even more added on there if otherwise. So, and I should probably check to see if the core of sorrow does have their own legit like emblem, same as these, or at least this or the other. But until then, that way you can update the image. But yeah, so right out the gate, let's actually go this way and down. She's not a sorrow lantern. She has not experienced something so great that she is just, depressed and sad and in pain in that sense. And no, and she's not a lantern. She's not a lantern star. Yes, she's scared for her son a lot of the time for fighting, but she is not a lantern of sorrow. Not at all. Not a lantern of happiness either. This is not a person who's been happy their entire life. She is happy with her life with Goku, but there have been plenty of times where she's been pissed off with that man and unhappy about circumstances, so that doesn't count. Nor is she a lantern of shame, though you could make an argument maybe she's ashamed she couldn't keep Gohan more away from like combat. Before anyone brings it up, yes, Gohan himself wanted to study and become a scholar, not Chi-Chi. Well, Chi-Chi definitely encouraged it, but Gohan, especially as he got later on in life, definitely moved towards that and away from combat. So it was more his choice not to train than Chi-Chi. Despite the fact she is a mother of 2, she's not really a good candidate for the White Lantern Corps, I don't think. Because she's not, you think about it this way, she's almost anti-White Lantern, not a Black Lantern per se, but she's anti-White Lantern because she's literally someone who wants to keep Goku, the strongest guy on the planet, the protector of the Earth, from training if she can help it, to get stronger for stronger threats. And I know it was a filler episode, but the fact that she just like, oh well, I guess we'll have to do. I guess it's just the way we are. I'll have to do it all over again when it comes. So I'm like, I'm sorry. Is this Chi-Chi and Goku's relationship is joked on a little bit, but it's generally depicted as being fine. That makes this relationship really effing toxic. Like seriously, like girl, you were really gonna just say no? He can't train. This guy's gonna destroy everything in this planet if he doesn't go train. I don't care. Smack. Like, what the hell? No. Also, that whole shit about, and again, this is mostly in the anime, about her basically, no, Videl's not doing this. Videl's going to do this. Videl is not your effing child. You don't get a say in what happens with Videl. Give back their kid. Like, my God. The nerve on this woman sometimes. She's also not a Black Lantern, despite the fact she's died at least once. So she's not a Black Lantern. She doesn't worship death. She is not dead. She's not the embodiment of death. She has no real strong feelings towards death. So, no. Now we get into the actual emotional spectrum. Now, you might be asking, well, you said she qualified for a bit. She qualified, in my opinion, for 4, which is more than you might think. But Hope, sadly, is not one of them. This is due to the fact that while she certainly has faith, certainly all characters in Dragon have some level of faith, she's not someone who instills hope, and she's not someone who really carries a lot of faith, at least in a traditional sense. I mean, again, everyone puts their faith in characters in the series, Goku, whatever, to win, go on. But I don't, that doesn't mean you qualify for hope just because you do that. Nor is she really a greedy person. Like, yeah, she's. I will admit, like, what happened to the money I was gonna get? Oh, I spent all that money, and then we're saving the rest. Like, how much money did you spend, Chi-Chi? Never actually illustrated how much she spent. It was implied she may have had some expensive tastes growing up because Ox King was rich, and they lost a lot of his fortune was when the mountain burned down. So, Chi-Chi, you might not have to learn to live a little less. Just saying. But beyond that, she's really not. She can be a little self-centered, but it's not coming from avarice. It's also not coming from compassion. She's not a good candidate for compassion because most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, they're looking for someone who's devoid of it so he can level them out and be, compassionate again. Unfortunately, Chi-Chi's compassionate enough that she would not qualify. And that's what I mean. She's compassionate enough to not qualify. In theory, compassion could be your dominant trait. Absolutely. And it could still qualify you, but no. They're normally looking for individuals who lack compassion. Which brings us now to the main four. And you could kind of pinpoint it. Now, the weakest option of the main four here is Rage. But I don't think that. Here we go. Well, I can disappear for now. I don't think that just because she's not, it's the weakest lantern doesn't mean she still couldn't qualify for it. Chi-Chi's got a temper. Chi-Chi is willing to go off the rails and just off on individuals through sheer anger and force of will and for the love of her family. But therein lies the problem. Her rage comes from a different emotion. And for example, her willpower is among some of the, she's got the willpower to just stay with Goku first off, but legit, her willpower is actually extremely high. She is still willing to face down individuals way stronger than her. I think she was willing to go fight Stellar the androids, armed to the teeth with weaponry, just to save her son and her husband. They had to hold her back from doing that. Hell, she went up to Majin Buu, slapped him in the face, and got turned into an egg. That's a woman with no fear in her heart whatsoever, except when where her family is in danger. That's a woman who will just do anything to, protect someone she cares about. That's will, baby. That is will. Now, that being said, she does probably lack the imagination to be a very good Green Lantern, but she's got the will. But she also scares the piss out of people. Legitimately, the amount of fear she kind of instills in all the Z fighters to some degree, and normal people, when she has to. I'm not saying she'd be a very good Fear Lantern. I'm saying she could qualify. Because unfortunately, now her general presence doesn't scare regular people who have never met her on the street. Hell, Marin, for fuck's sake, was willing to just backtalk her, calling her an old lady, without realizing how strong Chi-Chi actually is. But ultimately, she's scary enough to be it, but not strong enough. Again, it's kind of the Green Lantern thing. She could be a Green Lantern. I think she could qualify as a Lantern of Fear. But she wouldn't be a very good Lantern in either of those cores, surprisingly. No, unfortunately, the boring answer here is what you would expect. Everything she does is coming out of love. Despite the fact she is a bit of a tiger mom, and she is a tiger mom, she's not an evil person. It is all coming out of just wanting what's best for her family, what's best for Gohan, her loved ones, all that. All she wants is for the best. Now, is she demanding about it? Is she overbearing, controlling? Oh yeah, absolutely. But the Love Lantern Corps isn't just love. It's familial love, platonic love, romantic love, desire, obsession. Love can take actually many different forms, and it can certainly still work depending on how the love is perceived. And I think, again, it's a boring answer, but yeah, I think Chi-Chi's All-Star Sapphire. hands down, I think she's a Star Sapphire. But at the same time, look, she's still got other options. Like I said, I think any of those other four, or at least you can make a good argument for. I don't know how strong of an argument you can make for other Lantern Corps, unfortunately, but look, I leave that to you to maybe make that decision for yourself. Let me know what you think. If you think she could qualify for, if either one I said is the likely candidate, Star Sapphire or otherwise, or if any of the other Lantern Corps actually make a more logical Lantern Corps for her to be a part of. Let me know in the comments below if you can make an actual argument for it. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.